A pleasure and privilege to be here this afternoon and sharing a little bit more about the jobs of tomorrow. I found the past panel very inspiring and very relevant to what I'm going to share next. The stage feels like I should be in a boy band and I'm set up like a boy band, but the topic that we are going to discuss here is a lot more relevant than anything else in the workforce for today. And what skills do we need as professionals to be relevant for tomorrow? My name is Atul and I'm based out of Singapore. I work with LinkedIn and a lot of you here might be using LinkedIn. I just want to have a show of hands who has a LinkedIn profile. Thank you so much for being a member. For those of you who do not have a profile, I will be there after the session. Let me help you create one. Alright, let's get started. And according to many studies, almost 50% of the jobs that are available today will not be there tomorrow. This is scary for many of us, especially if you're working as a data entry clerk or you're working in the front office of a bank, you are a cashier. These jobs may not exist tomorrow. It is a frightening thought on what you can do tomorrow to still be relevant. However, a lot of studies say that there will be 70% new jobs that would be created. So the situation is not all that bad. Let me give you an example. Many years back, we used to have the job of a coolie who used to lift luggage and lift stuff for you. That was replaced by someone who could operate a crane or a machine that could do the same job. While one job was lost, a new job was created that was more sophisticated. And in the future, the person who is doing the job might be replaced by a robot. The person who is moving the crane, or better still, a robot itself might be moving the goods for you. And that is the reality of today. What that really means is that there is a massive skills gap. In the similar example that we just heard, the person who is doing the job of building that robot today or tomorrow needs a whole set of different skills to be relevant in the workforce. And we heard a lot about digital and technical skills. In fact, a lot of studies show that the three most relevant skills that would be applicable for tomorrow are AI and machine learning. Number 2, big data and analytics. And number 3, cloud computing or cloud-based technology, all very relevant to this afternoon. And these are the skills that we need to acquire as professionals or as leaders in our own company, help our employees to reskill themselves, or as some of the panelists spoke, at the country level, the initiatives that government should drive. The situation may seem frightening, but there are solutions to it. And if you think of these three factors that come along with the skills gap and the lack of skills to do the jobs, the situation gets even more complicated. Let us go through them one by one. Rise of millennials. Studies estimate that by 2020, 50% of the workforce will be millennials. I see a few of you here in the audience this afternoon. Millennials like to be treated very differently from other generations. Their expectations from a job, from the workplace, how they want to be appreciated, how they want to be recognized, the environment that they want to work in is very different from the previous generations. And we need to keep that in mind as business leaders who are running businesses or who are building startups. Second, aging workforce. And we heard some examples. Countries like Japan and Korea in Asia have 40% aging population. 40% of their professionals are reaching senior citizen age. And with the life expectancy increasing, how do we still keep these people relevant? What are the types of reskilling programs that we can drive at a nation level to maximize the aging workforce? The last one is the rise of freelancers, or what I call independent work. Some of you may also refer to it as gig economy. If you look at companies like Grab or Airbnb, Uber, none of these companies existed 4 or 5 years back. Not only their rise from here to here is amazing, But what amazes me most about them is most of the people who work for them are actually not their employees. Most of the drivers who drive taxis for Grab work for themselves. They are not employees of Grab. And similarly, the concept of gig economy and freelancing will spread to the industry. How this can be leveraged by other companies, whether we should be outsourcing work to somewhere in the Philippines or India, or whether we should be employing contract workers to get some jobs done, will be a question that remains to be unanswered yet. And with these trends, let me introduce you a little bit of what we are trying to do at LinkedIn. Our vision is to create economic opportunity for every member of the global workforce. And we are realizing that vision by building the world's first digital economic graph. What that means is we want each and every one of you, each and every professional, every student to have a profile on LinkedIn. We then bring in all the companies and all the jobs that the companies are hiring for on LinkedIn. And then we start to map the skills those jobs need in order to be filled. And then the schools who train the students are professionals to gain those skills. And then all of this knowledge can seamlessly flow between the different nodes to create the world's first digital economic graph. And we have this information. We are reaching 600 million members today around the world and about 16 million jobs. That gives us the ability to come up with a lot of hypotheses and start predicting the trends of tomorrow. And before I go there, let me share with you what we are doing in Thailand. Really, really happy and proud to be in Thailand. LinkedIn has been active in Thailand for about 5 years now, and we have reached 2.1 million members. When I first came here about 5 years ago with LinkedIn, we had less than 400,000 members. So in the last 5 years, we have more than 5 times grown our membership. There are a number of companies now, almost close to 100,000, who are using LinkedIn to talk about themselves, talk about their culture, and talk about the jobs that are available. And this helps us with a lot of data to bring back relevant knowledge and information for you. And not only do we bring this data back, but this data is being used by some of the world's leading organizations like World Economic Forum to come up with studies that help companies make meaningful decisions. Let me give you an example. Imagine you are a big bank in Thailand and the banking industry is transforming. The rise of digital and e-commerce and mobile banking is right upon us. But there's a lack of skill set in Bangkok and in Thailand. There are not enough people in the financial banking and fintech space. You have a choice to look at LinkedIn data and decide whether you want to open an office in the Philippines or India,
ที่ว่าคนแปล
or
ไม่แปล
number
ไม่
two,
ทันละ
you want to bring talent from Philippines and India to Thailand, or
ฟัง
number
original
three,
ยัง
as
เข้าใจ
we
ก่อน
heard in the panel, work with the local organizations, the local schools to reskill the workforce so that they can take up the jobs of those fintech and financial banking for tomorrow. And these are some of the decisions that we help companies make. But before we get there, I wanted to share with you, and since this is a big data forum, how do we actually get down to that level? And a lot of you have a LinkedIn profile. Sometimes you may not think about the information that is available on your LinkedIn profile and how it can be used to derive meaningful knowledge. Here is a very small example. On a LinkedIn profile, there are about 26 different fields that you fill. And this could be your location, this could be your industry that you work in, it could be your job function, it could be your school that you went to, the degree that you studied. And this gives us a wealth of information. But what I'm going to talk about today specifically is skills. Our members have an ability, you have an ability to share with us what skills you have on your LinkedIn profile. Some of you may tell us that you know how to do coding. Some of you might be good at databases. People like me are good at selling. And that gives us a set of skills on a profile basis. After that, we look at your profile and we start to derive some skills that you may be good at based on the other information in your profile. Maybe you put up some projects. Maybe you are endorsed by your connections on a specific project or on a specific job that you did. And that helps us to derive some skills that you may not have explicitly mentioned on your profile. And the number 3 thing, which is very unique to LinkedIn, and because we have a network now close to 600 million members, we can infer certain skills on your profile. For example, if you say that you are good at R and Python, we may assume that you are getting on the path to be a data scientist or a data analyst. And these are some inferences we can make, because when we look at 600 million profiles, we see a data scientist probably has these skills. So someone else who has these skills can become a data scientist too. And this gives us a wealth of knowledge to make very, very smart conclusions. Some of them I'm going to show you right now. The first thing that we looked at are what are the fastest jobs in Thailand. We are in the right place. The fastest growing job in Thailand over the last 5 years by far is data scientist. So we are in the Big Data Forum. I'm not showing this because I'm in the Big Data Forum. This is what the data says. Data scientist is a role that has really come up not just in Thailand but around the world over the last 10 years or so, and really become one of the most important jobs where the demand is high but the supply is really low. And because some of the languages and the database programming tools that were existent for a while, but now they've really come together over the last 5 to 10 years to form this role of a data scientist. If I look at some of the other roles, they are also growing 4 times or 5 times more demand than there was about 5 years back. A lot of them are around software development, software engineering, computer science. One interesting trend that we picked up is none of these roles are now just front-end developer or back-end developer. A lot of the roles are starting to become hybrid developers or full-stack engineer, where people are expected to know more than one skill set. And you are expected to do something that maybe 2 people were doing in the past. Their job has come together and converged into one. And I look at Android developer and front-end developer as a couple of examples there. Number 3 finding, which does not appear in the top 5 jobs here, but from 6 to 10, we saw a lot of health and fitness and meditation jobs come up. This was not existent 10 years back. There were no jobs like that. But with the rise of digital and the time that we spend on our mobile devices or on our laptops and computers, this is a new industry around health and wellness that is coming up really fast, and a lot of jobs in that industry are also on the increase. And this is very specific to Thailand. So what are the skills that you need to be right for these jobs? And we went to analyze the top skills that a professional in Thailand needs to be relevant for the jobs of tomorrow. And we break them down into 3 buckets. The mass market bucket is where a lot of people have these skills and they are still in demand. Whereas on the extreme right, the niche skills are very, very few people have these skills and are super high in demand. So if you really want to stand out from the crowd, you should go for the niche skills. But if you don't want to be left behind, you should start thinking about the mass market skills. And I was not very surprised when I saw that, because if a job is around data scientists, the skills that you need are machine learning, and you need some development platforms like Amazon or Microsoft to bring that to life, which is why we see AWS and Microsoft Azure right there. With a lot of this, you would need people to do these jobs, and for the same reason we have IT recruitment, which is a big thing. When there are new jobs being created, you need those jobs to be filled. And who fills those jobs? Someone in the HR team or someone doing recruitment. And that is why IT recruitment actually comes up as one of the most in-demand skills over the last 5 years as well. And we did not stop here. We wanted to understand what is happening in Thailand and where is the talent coming from and where is the talent leaving. And this is a real problem a lot of Southeast Asia countries face. There is a huge demand for technical talent, but the supply is limited. And there are different ways to address this. One way is to go to the countries that have this talent, and I speak about Philippines and India for technical talent very often. And these are some of the countries that are the best exporters of talent for skills like SQL and data analysis and JavaScript. Professionals from these countries are migrating to Thailand to fill some of those technical roles where the local skills are not available. At the same time, people in industries like oil and gas, maybe their projects have finished, or people in skills like offshoring, outsourcing, are moving away from Thailand to other countries like Australia, US, and Germany. The other reason for that could be they've finished their projects, and their projects might have been 2 or 3 years, and that is why now they're moving back to their home country. Multiple reasons, but this is what our data shows us, that the real insight I got is the lack of technical skills and the countries Thailand is importing talent from. So, as business leaders, as individuals, as HR people, and some of you representing the government and policy-making bodies, what do you do with all of this data? Data is good to have, but how does it help you in decision-making? How does it help you to do something in a better, more productive way? So we break this down for HR people and business leaders, and being in a big data forum, we analyzed and looked at analytics is actually one of the key skills that is on the rise for HR. In fact, to be a better HR professional, to be a better people manager and a professional, you need to learn how to make use of data to make smarter, better decisions. Data has been used very well in functions like sales, marketing, finance for many years. And now is the time for data to be used to make better people decisions. And we went on to split that into 9 different categories where we saw that the data makes the most maximum impact. Every one of us are familiar with compensation and benefits because there is a lot of data available publicly to make better salary decisions. However, talent acquisition and talent development is becoming a key area where data is being used to understand where to hire talent from, what type of talent should I hire, and then focusing on reskilling of my workforce. In my presentation later on, I'm going to share with you some live examples of some companies who have done so. And again, we looked at a person's profile and understood how the skills are derived from there. I'm going to take you through a more detailed journey of a member on LinkedIn and what are some of the other data points that we can pick up as this member goes through LinkedIn. And for that, I would like to introduce Nancy to you. Nancy is a telecom engineer in Hong Kong.